not cookie cutter.
Yeah. I think that's where we have gotten to when we're looking at our architectural styles. Like, we went into the suburbs and I actually kind of tricked him into going out to the suburbs to look at this house. I mean, like, I couldn't even get him to look outside the city,
and this is New Jersey, that way.
No, we're New Jersey, much less New Jersey. Like, leave New York. So I actually found this really modern house in the suburb that I really liked in New Jersey, and I showed it to him, and he got super excited.
Well, she backed it up with New York Times articles about how awesome Maplewood is, and it's the West Brooklyn, and so
yeah, I worked it.
She worked it, and it was this really great house, modern house.
Right, but I didn't think so.
So we went out that weekend, we saw it, and it became a harsh reality that modern living is not good for a child, and not our child, as she almost fell down the stairs, almost plowed over some art. It just wasn't going to work for us, and so we then looked at other houses, and it sparked our interest.
Yeah, I think that when we went to see the modern house the first time, Andrew got super excited, and he was running around like a kid in a candy store. The ceilings were high, and the layout was different, and I was thinking, oh my God, there's no rails on the stairs, our daughter's going to fall down, I'm never going to be able to keep track of her. But, he saw the neighborhood, and something that's important to me, along with the traditional style, is, trees and grass and space and this really like awesome suburban neighborly feel. I was hoping that Andrew would get the feeling that those were good things too.
And it was. And what's really interesting about South Orange and Maplewood is it kind of takes us back to our roots, being both in the Midwest, and felt like it was this really old, well-rooted neighborhood, really well-established, beautiful tree-lined streets. Every house was unique, well-built, all kind of turn of the century. And then you started to see the future there, and then the possibility there. So for that, it was tough to say, okay, I can't get my modernist piece, but I can find a home here.
Yeah. So
right.
Going into our search, what details were you most passionate about?
Once again, for me, it's like the modern plan. It was about open space. It was about daylight. It was about fresh air and unique and craftsmanship. So I mean, that's a big list, but like those were things like it had to have. You just had to have from like the start. We went into a few houses, and it was literally like I walked into like 2 steps, and it was. I was like, this isn't even an option. When we walked out of one house, like we walked in like 3 steps, and we turned around and left. It was terrible.
He has like super strong opinions, and I feel like, our opinions didn't always match, and there were like moments where like I would see a really cool house, and I was all about space because you don't have it in the city. So I'd be thinking, oh, like this huge house with like 6 bedrooms and like 5,000 square feet is perfect. We can really spread out. We can like, Andrew would be like out the door.
Well, for me, it was like, wait, this is a lot of space, and this is like refurnishing that whole place. This is inviting the in-laws to move in, and this is inviting the sister-in-law to move in, which is great, right? So it just became very daunting to like come to that realization that we needed 5,000 square feet, which we left 900 square feet for 5,000. That's a big jump.
Yeah, it's definitely a big change for the both of us, and I think trying to work where we both had this vision of where family would be happy and how the house would look and how it would be. It was so different. It was a struggle sometimes. I think I feel like most women, there's this thing where like the home is women's domain, and like the husband will be like, oh, she'll pick the furniture and I'll give in the end, and that's kind of this thing, and like we definitely don't have that. So I'm usually he's an architect, does it professionally, so I'm trying to put my touch and spin on things, and what I envisioned in a house was so different than anything we've done in a home before, and without the modern, the clean lines, like the warm colors and the traditional look and feel, and like I love colonials, I love farmhouse, I love Tudors, and I really want those things to be a place that I live one day, like strongly enough that we like actively disagree sometimes.
Well, it was terrible, but one of the things we could like start to see the common ground is like we wanted woods and we wanted it to be warm and we wanted hardwood floors and you know those types of things were then some common ground, so at least we could meet in the middle,
Yeah.
which I thought was really helpful as far as starting a dialogue. And then once we started to figure out what is our dream house, which we you kind of fantasize, but then you start seeing what's available and you're like, well, that's not in our price range, or that's too big, or that's the wrong style, or there's no yard, or scary neighborhood, or I mean, because we experienced all of that. And then all of a sudden, it seems to almost be one of these things I'll dare call fate, where we stumbled on the house, which would, for both of us, I think it's fair to say, became our dream house. It was picturesque from the street. So, it's one of these places where you want to come home. You're proud of where you're coming home to. Just beautiful once you walk in, and it was spacious, airy, light. The turn of the century, like the place is built 1900s, and the craftsmanship is phenomenal.
Did you want an old home?
No, of course I didn't want an old home. But
I wanted an old home.